Hey guys, I hope everyone out there is doing well today. And what I thought I would share about today is typhoons and raining and flooding in the Philippines. I know some of the other guys have been showing some footage of what's going on in the places where they live, like in Cebu with the really heavy rains and everything. And I do believe that I've talked about the weather in another video, but I'll just kind of give you a quick overview. Basically, what you have in the Philippines is the rainy season and the hot season. And the hot season it's the worst of it is April and May. And then starting around June is when you get the rainy season. So storm systems come through there and the rain comes sometimes every day and it kind of cools things off a bit. But during the rainy season, you also end up with typhoons. And typhoons are basically what the equivalent in Asia of hurricanes. And I think they rotate a different way than they do here in the Western Hemisphere. But anyway, they call them typhoons. And generally speaking, I mean, I've never felt my life was in danger from a typhoon. Generally speaking, okay, I'm talking in very general terms again. If you're living in a structure that's built well, you're going to be okay. A lot of the problems that people have in terms of when you hear about deaths and things like that, there are people that are living in substandard housing, or sometimes you also get mudslides from the illegal logging, and they're living in that type of an area. But I would say, usually if you're living in a city or a suburb and you're living in something that's built well, you're probably not going to be in physical danger from a typhoon. But the one problem you are going to have is a few things. One, flooding, especially in a city that's prone to flooding. I'm going to show you some footage in a minute. It can just kind of shut the city down completely. So you're planning to do something and it floods, and they will just say walang pasok, which is no school or work. And it's kind of like here in the southeastern United States. It's kind of like when you have a snow day. When here in the south, it doesn't take much snow to shut things down. But in the Philippines, you'll get the rain can cause so many problems and so much flooding that it just paralyzes a city. So that's one way it can affect you. But it can also affect you if you're living in a place that's prone to flooding, and it can affect you maybe in ways that you haven't even thought about. Now, what I'm about to show you here is some footage from, this was a place that I lived in Manila, and now the apartment was up on, this particular apartment was up on the fourth floor, I think, so I never really imagined that I would have any issues with the storms and flooding. But this particular typhoon, I think it was Typhoon Frank, I'm pretty sure, the wind and the rain was coming from a certain direction and it caused problems. Let me go ahead and open this up. So as you can see here, what's happening is the rain is blowing in, and if you look there, that water just kept coming in right under that sliding door. So basically the whole day, that whole afternoon, all I could do was just sit by the door right there, and I was just having to sit by the door basically and mop up the water with towels and mops and everything. And I just spent, I don't know how many hours, 2 or 3 hours, just mopping up water, because it was either that or let it just keep coming through the coming through the window and into my living room. So I mentioned renting before, that you have to ask if it's a flood prone area, but you also have to look at the house and see if there are any of those type of vulnerabilities. Again, that was just something I never would have even thought about. So maybe if they had built a little bit of a shelter out in that courtyard, that may have helped. I don't know. Fortunately, that only happened one time when I was living in that place. But again, anything, if you can think ahead and think about, if we get a typhoon, what's going to happen to this place that I'm renting? That's going to make your life a little bit easier. Again, it's hard to know 100% when you're renting a place, something like that. This was something that I never would have thought of. But speaking of Typhoon Frank, okay, I'll go ahead and show you one of the other videos that I took. I didn't even realize I was so busy keeping the water out of my living room that I didn't realize it was also causing a flood outside the apartment. But if you'll see, check out this next video. Apologies if it's a little bit shaky because I was just kind of doing this with my camera. But you see, it looks like I live on the riverfront, but that's actually just a street. You see the cars and vehicles going through there. And now look at that blue house, and you see where the water is on the door of that blue house. I believe that blue house was kind of built underneath the street a little bit. You had to step down to go to it. So that first floor there is going to be pretty much underwater. And so again, it's just something that you have to think about. I mean, look at how, if you see all the water there, you see what I'm talking about. It just kind of can shut down a city like Manila because people just can't get around very easily. And again, like I said, there are those places, a lot of them around there that are built at ground level or below. I'm sure what they have to do is just make sure that they do not keep anything valuable on that first floor. They keep things that maybe they can just stack up or get out of the way quickly if it's about to flood. So anyway, that's just something to keep in mind. You need to be aware of the flooding possibility wherever you're going to live, and keep that in mind with choosing something to rent. And if you can do that, then like I said, it's going to make your life a little bit, or it could make your life a lot easier. Now, one thing that I will say here is that Filipinos are really tough people, and they're just kind of used to some of this stuff. So those places I was showing you across the street, I'm sure what they did is they just, I'm sure all they did was get stuff out of the way, and then as soon as the flood subsided, they just got buckets and got it out of there and kind of went on with their lives. So that's kind of the Filipino attitude about stuff like that, is fix it and move on. Don't get all hysterical about it. So hope this video helps, and I hope I've given you an idea of what the rainy season can be like in the Philippines.